I'm just gonna start recording from the start.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know why my
I
camera's like fuzzy.
I mean, we always say this. I won't be really able to talk that long as we usually talk. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of was the same. I
Yeah.
didn't want to stay up super late.
Yeah, we always say this stuff, but we'll try to keep that today because it seems like we've been pretty busy lately.
Yeah, so tell me about the job, man. What's that like? Or
I just found it. It's being like a financial advisor, but the thing is, I have to take a test and get a license.
yeah,
So I'm kind of working on that. So I'm not like working yet, but yeah, I'm like having a lot of meetings and whatnot.
how long do you think it'll take to get the test and license and stuff finished?
At least a month, if not more.
Yeah, I mean that's still not bad. I
Yeah.
mean you've been uh kind of, I don't know, I guess looking for a job for a while, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing like some things on the side, but like yeah, for the most part, yeah. But I also today I've also realized why gurus or masters or sages or whatever you want to call them, I understand why they leave society.
You
Well,
understand why?
yeah, because
After trying to get this job.
that no, not just, but then like I'm just thinking like no, I mean I've been thinking this for a long time now. Don't get me wrong, but like there's just so much shit to learn about like nonsense of the world. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like a lot of people learn so much shit, buy so much shit, make so many like different relationships, but in the end of the day, I feel like it's all noise.
Yeah, it can be.
Especially I think for like our mindset or our philosophy of life.
Yeah.
Because for both of us, we like we were on a pursuit of quote unquote enlightenment, right? Or spiritual awakening, whatever you want to call it. And like I think at the end of the day, hey, that's what really matters. Or that's what like most people really want, but they don't know it. Or if not everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think many people know what that's like, so, or and they're not really seeking it, but um yeah, I definitely think there's more to be found there than just living normal life, you know, unexamined.
But I also think there's so many people in the world too that definitely aren't in the right situations and don't have the right resources and tools to even start pursuing that.
Yeah, I mean, the realistic part of it is that most people will never really seek uh to any real degree, and that's fine. You know, that's just kind of how things are. They're just not set up to do it, you know, in this life. Their interests aren't aligned with it. Um, they don't have the things that would motivate them to want to do that in the first place. They're focused on other things. I mean, it's fine. They can live their lives however they want. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is like people's belief systems and their, yeah, just what they think they want out of life are probably like the main things that keep people from ever pursuing any sort of real path. Um,
Well, I mean, there's a lot of like systems in place and there's a lot of misinformation out there as well.
yeah,
So that hinders a lot of people from knowing like the right path, quote unquote, the right path to take.
yeah,
And like there's many like people it's like, oh, well, you know, like if you really know what enlightenment is, like enlightenment is who you actually are already, right? Like there's not it's not something or someone to become, right? And it's so close to you, like you're it, you know, like you're already there. Like what you had to say about that?
In a sense, it's true, but in another sense, it doesn't really matter because what people really care about is some type of change to their experience, and that usually takes time and practice. But um, yeah, in a certain sense, like it it doesn't create anything new. It only shows a different way to relate to what's seemingly always been happening.
And you know there's a lot of like gurus or masters, right? And like there's nothing to you don't have to seek any you don't have to seek, right? You're already perfect as you are. You don't have to do anything. And I mean, I think there's some truth to that, but I've been thinking about it lately that we all have Sam scars, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, it prevents us from kind of realizing our quote unquote God self or best version of ourselves. Um, and I think through like this work, right, through trying to pursue and seek this like path that people are able to have way less pain and suffering and more happiness and joy and peace in their lives.
Yeah, that it definitely can lead to that. Um, Sometimes it doesn't, though. Sometimes people go like halfway, and it just adds a bunch of extra complexity to their life, and they don't really get the results that they wanted, maybe, or that would actually help. So that's a problem too, you know,
Mhm.
is not going far enough. Because to actually, really change your relationship to suffering, for most people, that's going to take a lot of change and learning and just different practices. So, yeah, I mean, that's the kind of stuff like the change to your experience that I was talking about. Like, that's what takes time. But in a sense, like, it doesn't change what already is happening at the deepest level. But the thing is, most people aren't even aware of what that is or how it works at all without doing years and years of work like this.
Yeah, I was watching a lot of Leo Guru stuff lately too, and I was watching a video about how he talks about like he's trying to kind of in a way justify how everything in the world is working out of love and through love, right? Even the most sinister or evil things in the world.
Yeah.
And I kind of, I mean, he says, you know, it's your ego that's like preventing you from seeing that, you know, like these things are not out of love and these things are out of love. And like a spouse abusing another spouse is because they're doing it out of love. And like, and they're you gotta and he's like you gotta trace back to you know, like who their parents were and their childhood and how they were raised, right? But then I don't know. I feel like even that I feel like I have a hard time justifying.
Yeah. And it depends a lot how you define love. Because really, all that he's saying there, as far as anyone else can know, is just using words. And the way that he uses the word love has a much different kind of broad context to it. So when he says something like everything is love, as much as it might be kind of what people think it sounds like, it is also quite different than what it sounds like if we just say that sentence. You know, almost anyone's interpretation of what that means, um, especially anyone who's not been doing like spiritual work for a while, he's not gonna agree with the way that they're interpreting what he's trying to say too. So
Yeah, I mean, like if I'm trying to like agree with him or justify that, like his like maybe his or her parents used to beat them when they're young, and that's how they quote show love. But like you know, like I guess she's trying to justify from that angle, but like there's some people who realize that, oh, this is not the way to show love, right? That I got abused when I got young and I had trauma, so I'm gonna try to not put that on my kids or my friends or my family. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So like there's people who change their ways of thinking and realize, oh no, like this was causing me a lot of suffering. So I'm not gonna put that on the people that I actually love and care about so much.
Yeah, I mean that's a really practical way of looking at it, that you wouldn't want to repeat that. But I mean, a lot of the time when Leo is talking about this stuff, like everything is love, or something like that, he's talking about it in this like absolute sense. But the thing is, like, he pulls in a bunch of relative examples to try to illustrate that point, and I don't really think it does a very good job of illustrating the point, because it gets people to thinking of all these relative situations and how it's all love in those. But I don't know. I mean, I don't really see it working that way. I mean, not everything is love at a relative human defined level for most people, how they think of love. Everything is not love,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and, in a sense, one of the things that Leo does all the time is really it's a shifting of definitions.
Mm-hmm.
He uses one word, but due to some experiences that he's had that made him feel like he accessed some absolute perspective, he'll then, you know, go back and like apply that to the relative stuff. And I think it confuses a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't say that like I've done so much work where like I can I can meet every situation with like love and like uh, be so forgiving and uh, won't get angry or what. I still have so much flaws in myself, and yeah, I can't imagine the work to like even get halfway there if there is like a scale. It is really hard because there's so much, especially where you see so much stuff going on in the world that with the with the internet and everything nowadays, um, it and just people around you, right? Just people around you. It is so easy. It's so easy. It's so easy to get aggravated with people. Uh,
Yeah.
like you doing some sort of spiritual work, you want to see it from their angle, and you want to meet them, and you want to see them from where they're coming from. But there's so many people where like they're so unconscious and like they're so selfish and narcissistic. Like it like they don't even care. They don't really care. They really don't care. And not like anything particularly happened to me lately because of that, but I'm just saying like generally.
Yeah, I mean, that is one thing. A lot of people who aren't into spirituality, and even some who are, they'll rarely look at something deeply from another person's perspective. And yeah, it causes problems, especially if you're someone who is trying to look at it from another person's perspective, but then they're not looking at yours really with any real consideration. And it can kind of leave you vulnerable to getting taken advantage of. Um, just because other people don't consider how you feel, what you think, how your experience is compared to how much you think about that with them.
Yeah, most people are thinking about themselves and like their situation. Oh, I guess things can work out in their favor.
Mm-hmm. And that's necessary to a degree, but things usually run smoother when people are able to, thoroughly understand another person's perspective.
Right.
That usually like reduces tensions in any situation pretty significantly.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a war or you're trying to figure out where to go to eat.
Yeah.
Between two people. Like it affects a lot of things. So what other stuff have you been watching of his?
He had a video came out. I sent some to you. I don't know if you had time to check those out, but like there was one he came out with about war and conflict.
Yeah, I haven't watched that one. What did you? So you watched it all or part of it?
Watch. I think I finished it, or if not, like most of it.
So what did you think of it? What kind of stuff did he bring up?
Um, on the top of my head, I can't really remember. But he did definitely talk about the Ukraine thing going on, right? Ukraine and Russia thing going on.
Yeah. What did he have to say about that? Was it like anything new or just kind of?
No, he said a lot of good stuff. He did say a lot of good stuff. He made a lot of great points. Um, so definitely recommend check that out. But on top of my head right now, I don't remember exactly what he thought because I watched a few videos of it, and I don't watch like one about his love, and I there was a lot that I wanted to speak about that. I watched other videos too, as you know. Like I love watching many different videos and podcasts. So that specifically, I don't remember on top of my head right now.
Yeah.
Because it's so long. His videos are so long. So much information.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of his stuff for a while now has seemed to be recycling like the same kind of information over and over though. To me, that's how it feels. But I mean, I've been watching his stuff for like probably maybe 5 years or so.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess it's hard if you make that many videos to not repeat yourself, you know?
It is. It is. Like he does a masterful job at his videos, I would say.
Yeah, he definitely makes good videos. Um,
Any content you've been watching lately?
as far as spiritual content,
Or it doesn't have to be spiritual. Whatever that you're interested in or that you want to talk
I
about?
mean, I watched some stuff by Sadhguru a little bit. I mean, not a ton, but I watched some of his stuff a bit more. And I didn't really. He wasn't really one of my favorite like people to watch for spirituality, but I don't know. I found some of the videos I watched of his pretty interesting recently. He was talking about like drinking cobra venom, and it sounded like the way he was describing it was like almost like a psychedelic or something. It's kind of funny. It sounds crazy, but you know, 5-MeO was first tried through toad venom, so
No, that's true. Like Famimo is literally like quote unquote poison.
yeah, and caffeine's a neurotoxin, so I mean, you know, a lot of things like this, like you can certainly make plenty of substances sound bad from a certain angle, but maybe it's not as crazy or bad as it sounds. I don't know. Does sound kind of extreme though. Drinking cobra venom
I mean, drinking toad venom sounds pretty extreme too.
or smoking it, yeah.
Like from like most people's trip reports, right? Like it sounds insane.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a friend in Canada who has some 5-MeO. I think I might take a trip up there maybe sometime this year.
Oh shit. Yeah, I actually been talking to a friend from Canada lately. Um and he's really into spirituality too actually. Um and he's been talking he actually recently this week said he want to try 5-MeO.
Yeah.
He's a huge weed smoker though. Like
Yeah.
he literally grows it in his home.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well, that's probably easier in Canada, I would assume. You
yeah,
know, the legality of it.
right, right.
Um, I'm not sure what the growing laws are there, but even if it's illegal, it's probably way less of a problem than if you did it in the US.
Yeah. So that's kind of funny you mentioned that because that guy's also from Canada.
Yeah, this guy is he's a Leo fan, definitely. A pretty big fan of Leo's stuff. He posts his trip reports on the forum a lot.
Hmm. I wonder what people see on 5-MeO that like really it's supposed to show you the other side, right? That's what it's like when you have a breakthrough, right?
Yeah, I mean, some people describe it that way. Um,
Do you think machine elves are real?
well, that usually happens most with NN-DMT instead of 5-MeO. I don't know if I've ever actually heard a person use 5-MeO and report machine elves. Um, but I mean, what sense of the word real do you mean?
Like, are they out
Like
there? Like
real is like
they're
your mom.
they're living entities. Are do you think they are living entities? I don't know how else to describe them or what word to use. Maybe you can recommend me what words I can use.
I mean, as far as like a living entity, like any normal thing on Earth, like a bear or a kangaroo, I mean, maybe, but I don't think there's enough information to really say one way or another. You know, But as far as like, can they be experienced in that sense, they're definitely real for some people.
Like
But
really real. Like even I mean, I feel like the past year I've been having dreams which feel more real than reality. I don't know if I mentioned that to you.
yeah, you've mentioned it.
Right. And like I used to don't I used to have dreams like, oh, it feels so real, but I wake up and like, oh, that was a dream. You know what I mean? I knew it was a dream. But then when I like, ever since I took psychedelics, um, well, I have been the past year especially where dreams just feel so real. Like I'm there, right? Like, you talk about like the witness a lot in spirituality, like being the observer, right? Like it feels like when you're one with the observer, when you realize the observer, but then like is like the observer is observing this reality that I'm talking to you in, right? And when I
Mhm.
go to sleep, the observer is also observing my dreams, and that's why it feels so much more real. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
that's interesting. I mean, I've not really heard too many people talk about dreams becoming more real feeling with spiritual practice or like psychedelics or anything. But I guess I can see it happening, you know. It's not like the most shocking thing.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have dreams very often anymore. Pretty rare. Usually I'll fall asleep and it's like close my eyes and then open my eyes and it's the morning and that's it.
How weird is that too, right? Like you probably thought about this before, but like you're asleep, but then like the whole world is still moving and things are going on, and then you wake up and you're like, oh, you're still in the world, but then it's like nothing happened between that time for you
Yeah.
or everybody anyway.
Yeah, there was one writing I did um maybe a year or two ago where I said something like was I kind of like formatted it as like a riddle or something or just like a question. And it was like you go to sleep and you experience like 30 minutes of time it feels like in a dream. And in the dream, your wife that you wake up next to in bed tells you, it's time to go to work. And she tells you all about the world and how it works. And you have all sorts of memories about how it works. And it feels like this is how it always is and how it's supposed to be. And this is the world you live in. And then you wake up into this reality and, you know, you went to sleep for a normal night's sleep. And then you wake up next to your wife and you start talking to her with all your normal memories from this reality about um, what TV show you want to watch or whatever it is. Um, and then in like the context of like this example, you think how much time really was spent and what was more real than the other thing. Um, and I guess back at the time that I wrote it, and it hasn't changed too drastically, I guess, to today. But like the way that I saw it was, it's really just the experience that you have that is real. And if you experience what feels like 30 minutes in a dream reality, or you experience 5 minutes in this reality, like it's the same, really, as far as what's real. I mean, we come at it from this world and this experience and this reality with this word real. What real means a lot of the time, the way people use it is basically, is it based in this reality or another? Some wacky dream reality, then that one is automatically not real. But from the perspective of experience alone, it's just as real.
Yeah.
Whatever crazy dream you have at night as any other thing you might experience.
So okay, I want to see if you agree or disagree with me on this, or what's your thoughts? Like before awakening, right? Before having a spiritual awakening, or after, rather afterwards, you feel like you was having a dream before that your whole life, and then when you wake up, and then you see reality in a different perspective, and you have different insights that cause you to shift your perspective of reality. You're like, oh wait, what the fuck? Like, it just felt like I've been having a dream for the past 20 years of my life, because what I was seeing, right? What is kind of like the allegory of the cave, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what I was seeing, I thought I was seeing reality, but I really wasn't seeing reality until I wake up now, and you're like, wait, oh shit, like this is still reality that I'm looking at, but it's from a different lens now.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, there was never really this feeling of like you wake up one day and all the other experience was somehow like different, or like it was a dream before and then this isn't.
Like it's not like it was a dream, but like those experiences felt real, right? Those were real. You still had those experiences, but it felt like waking up from a dream, from analogy wise, from like changing perspective wise.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, the dream analogy and like way of looking at things from this perspective, like it has its some value to it. It's not really one of my favorites to use though. Um, just because it carries a lot of baggage, like where people think they're gonna like wake up to some new reality, but it's no, it's just gonna be the same old thing.
True, true. That's what I'm saying. Like it's the same reality, though, but it's the same reality. So what word would you use then? Like how what analogy would you use? What do you think is a good analogy?
A good analogy. Uh, I can go back to one of my uh more profound experiences and kind of describe what that was like. So it was kind of the realization that um, enlightenment itself, in a sense, there is absolutely nothing to it at all. And due to there really being no characteristic that you can pin on enlightenment, or any experience that you can say this is enlightenment, or anything that you can say isn't enlightenment, none of those things really work. It's enlightenment is it's just it really it's like the perfect trick, in a sense, that everybody thinks there's like something to it, or some sort of drastic thing has to happen. But what the realization that I had was at this specific point in time was that enlightenment has absolutely no substance to it, no qualities to it. There's no, there's really nothing to it at all. And because of that, because there's really nothing to it at all,
Yeah.
whatsoever, that's how it actually can apply to everything. I think I made a post on the actualized.org forum recently where I said something like, nothing is the key that can fit into any shaped lock, because it has no size, no, you know, characteristics to itself whatsoever to limit it from fitting in one lock or allow it to fit into another. There's nothing to it. So it applies everywhere.
Yeah.
And then that also comes with the realization that, yeah, enlightenment is really nothing different. And it's just always there. But there's nothing to it. There's really no substance to it at all. In the Diamond Sutra, uh, the Buddha says that the Dharma is empty. And I was actually listening to that when I had this realization occur. And it was uh, pretty profound and intense when it happened. But that was when I realized, like, the thing that everyone's pointing to as like this goal or state or something even beyond a goal or state or this realization or whatever you want to call it, um everything that everyone's ever pointed to as enlightenment has never really been it, and it never really can be pointed to, but at the same time it never really can be not pointed to accurately, because there's nothing to it at all. And it's one of the things I like about um, Buddhism, especially the Diamond Sutra, which is really popular in Mahayana Buddhism, which some of the other Buddhist schools will, or people in the other Buddhist, kind of ways of looking at things, the other types of Buddhism, they'll say that like Mahayana is like too philosophical. There's too much thinking. There's too much theory and ideas. And I don't know. I really like the Diamond Sutra because it shows you in a really um, kind of systematic way that what we're talking about here can never really be pointed out. In a sense, it's and and realizing that any sort of teaching about it isn't it, and also there's not really a definite it to get in the first place. I don't know, I found that really useful. um so I don't know, if you haven't listened to that, I'd recommend it. I can send you a link. There's a free audiobook on YouTube. It's probably like 50 minutes or an hour long.
Yeah, please send me that. When you get a chance.
But yeah, like that's in there. Like the Buddha talks about things neither existing nor not exist, or neither existing nor not existing. And that's one of the phrases that I really like, because, or one of the kind of linguistic tools or philosophical tools to look at a certain way of interpreting things, because that's when you use a pointer like that, it really gets your mind to a place where you can't um, you can't get there with any sort of normal logic or thinking. And it shows that what's being pointed to is really just so empty, that and in a sense so featureless that I don't know, at a certain point it can be probably pretty beneficial for people. But I'd say most people who practice spirituality, even rather seriously, won't really be ready to use that in a very helpful way. But it definitely has the potential to be really useful.
why do you think people who are into spirituality will not be able to use that in a helpful way?
Well, in a certain sense, they don't really have a good idea of what existence or non-existence even mean, even though they might think they do. Because there are certain experiences or states that can sort of illuminate that position really well. And, you know, the classic one that I could use as an example that I talk about frequently is cessation. Um, Essentially, the opposite of experience, or at least the appearance of there being an opposite of experience. When you have that happen, I feel like that's when someone really has the potential to understand what non-existence really even is saying when that word is used. I feel like it backs up your experience with a way of understanding that at a deeper level for it to really mean something when someone says non-existence in a significant way. And it's like if someone doesn't have a really significant way of connecting to non-existence, how are they supposed to do anything with the phrase neither existence nor non-existence? It's kind of like a prerequisite to have like a decent understanding of both before you can ever use an understanding of neither of them at the same time. You know, there's some I don't know if it's in the normal Buddhist writings, but I saw it somewhere. Someone asked, like, does the Buddha, no longer exist after he died? Because that is like a common sort of way that you see people talk about Buddhist philosophy, and it's pretty integral to certain parts of Buddhism. That idea that, in a certain sense, the Buddha, uh, like, no longer exists after he died, after he became, fully enlightened or whatever, and then died. There's this idea that there's no more reincarnation. But I saw someone respond to that, like someone was asking a question, like, does the Buddha, like, no longer exist in a sense? And the person replied, and I think it was from like an actual like part of the core Buddhist texts, but I could be wrong on that. And they said essentially the Buddha doesn't, like, if you're thinking about the Buddha, he doesn't exist, and he doesn't not exist, and he doesn't both exist and not exist, and he also doesn't neither exist nor not exist. So it's none of those things. And do you see how when someone says something like that, it gives you the potential to see into something, as far as meaning goes, that is so empty of meaning when you, and that's kind of the point of that, in my opinion, is like when someone says something like that about the Buddha, it's to really show that none of these ways of looking at it are good enough for understanding the way that it works. And the way that it works is so empty that when you use pointers like he both exists and doesn't exist, or he neither exists nor doesn't exist, or it's both and neither of those options too. When you say something like that, you are still in you know, theoretically, with language pointing to something, but what that something is has really, there's nothing of substance to say about it based on those things. It kind of erases all of the potential of logically grasping in a normal sort of thought process what the Buddha is.
Because it's kind of like negating each other. Everyone is.
Yeah, it's this negation to take you down to just this smallest little piece of information. And it's like this, in my view, like the smaller the piece of information, the higher potential for it to really make an impact. Like if we're talking about some advanced sort of work, like when you're working with essentially nothing at all and everything, um it changes the way that your mind is trying to relate to it. uh and it really gets you out of the old dualistic ways of looking at things. Like the Buddha exists, that's a very dualistic way of looking at it, the way most people use the word exist.
Well, we do upload this. Oh, whoever's watching this, have a good time trying to dissect all this.
But there are people who actually get some good value out of pointers like that. And I was talking to one of my spiritual friends today, and he loves like the neither exist nor don't exist sort of way of pointing to things. I can tell he's gotten some use out of it. Um, and I definitely have. It's definitely helped me a lot. But yeah, I mean, I guess in a sense it helps in a way that you can never really show anyone.
I mean, it's funny you say that because going back to like the dream analogy, right? That I was talking about, like, I
Yeah.
feel like I exist in this reality, but then when I dream, also is really exist in that other reality. So, like, in a way, I'm existing and not existing at the same time.
Yeah, like the you on planet Earth, this reality, in a certain sense, you could say doesn't exist while you're in that dream.
Yeah.
And while you're here, that dream, in a sense, doesn't exist. But really, what you are at the most fundamental levels includes and transcends those things of not existing in one sense and existing in the same sense. It's what you are is something that can weave through and embody all of these different possibilities. Any possibility or impossibility.
She was just like a magical spirit going all over everywhere, just
Yeah,
taking
but
form and
what's
everything.
what's a spirit? It's just an idea based in this reality.
Yeah.
And you got to think our dreams are still a lot of the time for most people rather human, and there's still like some sort of human way of interacting with the dream. But there are experiences that you can have that are way crazier than a typical night's dream for most people, even their most crazy ones. And just imagine, like being an alien having a dream, or being something that's maybe we wouldn't even look at it as a living being or organism, but still having experience somehow.
Because like when we die in this realm, right? Like or in this plane, whatever this is, like our consciousness is not dreaming about this, well, experiencing this reality anymore. So this reality is not real anymore. This reality has become a dream for that person.
Yeah, if you define what's real as being what's experienced right now,
Yeah.
then yeah, this reality isn't real. But it's the same level of unreality to this, what we're talking about right here, this earth life. It's just as not real when you're dreaming as
Exactly.
it will be when you're dead.
Exactly.
You know, is your aunt's left tennis shoe real right now? It is because I brought it up. In a certain sense, as far as a sort of like thought form and maybe a mild like visualization of it, it exists in that sense. But does the real ant's left tennis shoe exist in some way you can touch right now? No, it doesn't. Not based on the definition of what's experienced right now is real, but yeah, fun stuff.
Do you think this is all just one mind? Especially there's a lot about saying, oh, it's only Brahman, right? Like, do you think there's only one mind experiencing itself then?
Yeah, I would say so, but I wouldn't call it a mind. And I mean, maybe you can call it Brahman, but I still think that doesn't really work either. I mean, in the sense you could, I feel like the one of the easiest things that really gets close to it, if the word is interpreted in the right way, is just experience. It's just experience, and it's not my experience or your experience. It's just experience. That's all there is, and the only thing that isn't is non-experience or what isn't experienced right now.
And even that isn't real.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Is non-existence doesn't exist, and people don't understand what that kind of means. As much as existence exists, non-existence doesn't exist. And that's not to say that it's some real thing that exists. It's to say that non-existence is a thing that doesn't exist. And that actually means something, but it's hard for people to see that, I think. What I'm trying to say. I don't really know a good way to say it other than that. And it's not really a good way. But I mean, it's kind of the best I have right now.
Well, I was kind of also trying to say non-existent isn't real. So non-existent is also can be real. Can it? Can it or not?
Well, if we're using the definition of what is experienced right now as our basis for what the word real means, it cannot be real because
Because
non existence cannot be experienced. It is the total lack of all experience entirely. And that can only ever be understood from the perspective of experience. or
Because if we go back like 50 years ago, right?
Mhm.
Tesla car was never made. So like if you if you want to explain to someone about like what the hell is a Tesla car, like that's not real. Like what are you're just making up shit, right? So
Mhm.
like to them, their reality, that's not real. And if someone were to come and like say, "Oh, I saw a 50 leg spider," and you're like, "Wait, are you fucking hallucinating? Like, there's no such thing. Like, spiders don't have that many legs." But then who knows? Like, spiders mutate in like the next few hundred years, and they end up having 50 legs. But then we're
Yeah.
not there anymore to experience that.
But in a sense, what I'm trying to point at and talk about right now is way more fundamental and, in a sense, way more profound than any of that. Because all of those things are still just experience oriented in a certain way.
Hmm.
And what we're talking about here is the lack of experience. So, like, it itself, like, by its own definition, non existence guarantees that it can't be real. And if you say that it's real, then you're not talking about non existence. You're talking about some sort of experienced thing that feels like maybe what someone might think of non existence being like. But non existence can't be like anything. If if it is at all, it is not non existence. If it's experienced at all, it's not non existence.
Yeah. So remember, I was saying about how like I had a friend who saw angels on the shoulders and like in the sky, right? Like
Yeah.
to him, like that existence is real to him.
Uh-huh.
And I don't really, I might like if I try really really hard for a long time, maybe I don't know, like I can like show him, oh, I don't think it's real and it's not real. But at the same time, who am I to say that that's not real?
Yeah. But that's just experience oriented in a different way, producing different appearances.
Yeah. So like,
All it is just slightly different content, very slightly different content. Having a human experience with a little angel being on your shoulder or something, or at, full human size in front of you, it's so close to your normal experience. It's not even funny. It seems crazy or profound to people simply because they haven't experienced it, and it seems like it's outside of their capabilities to experience. But there's stuff that's way crazier than seeing an angel.
oh, I'm sure that was just like an example that I can use because someone told me that, so I can use that example.
But when you hear people talk about things that they experience, if they're being honest, or they seem like they're being honest, that means that there's a pretty good chance that if you really wanted to, you could experience the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's some way to do it.
Mm, that's scary in a way.
Yeah,
It's
and it's
kind of
good
like
stuff and
creepy.
bad stuff.
It's
If
kind of like creepy.
if someone honestly tells you that they experienced something, I think you shouldn't look at it through like your lens of your worldview or anything like that. You should understand, okay, this is a little data point of what could potentially be experienced by me. Some variation of the story they're telling could be experienced by me.
Yeah.
It's a possible thing. And I would say anything that can be imagined by a human intellect can probably be experienced.
You know, like some people take salvia, right, and they become a chair.
Yeah.
So, like, there's some way in my mind, there is a way that I can see myself as a chair or anything else for that matter.
Yeah. And stuff so much crazier than that, people have no clue. I have no clue what can be experienced.
Yeah, it's unlimited.
Nobody has a clue.
Yeah, yeah.
The craziest the craziest experience ever had by a human being is like not even 0.1% on the scale to like 100 of what could be experienced. You know, how much different and profound or radical or crazy or horrible or amazing or whatever word you want to use. It could be so much more, so much beyond, so much different than the highest possible thing any human being has ever said, ever imagined, or anything like that.
And there's so many people in the world, and so many people have been in the world that you will never get to meet and never get to interview. That you don't know all these different experiences that happened already.
Nope. But if you hear someone talk about an experience and it sounds like something you'd like to experience, then there's probably a way that you could get there. Probably.
Okay, so why is it that there's certain people, there's certain figures, right? Like Buddha, Jesus, Krishna, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
why are these people so high on the totem pole that there's so many people that can relate to that experience or that person?
Well, you know, they all had pretty genuine insights and deep understanding of things and embodied those insights and understanding to a high degree. And it created a cultural phenomena where people, um, yeah, they created cultural phenomena where masses of people started to regard that highly based on what they saw, and it just continued from there. You know, there's a very good chance there were people who were more advanced than any of those figures just named that nobody knows about today.
Damn, that that is
That
so true.
that there's no history of ever being, and maybe no real good way of human beings ever accessing the fact that that person did exist or get to a certain place in a spiritual context. You know, maybe there's no way that human beings would have any ability to access that information for thousands of years or maybe ever.
Wow.
These are just the people that they had their experience, and it meshed well enough with society to where it continued on as a story.
Hmm.
And there are probably plenty of people who had experiences maybe just as profound as those people, but it might not have fit well with the society at the time to where anyone was willing to accept it. You know, like in the case of Jesus, he was, rejected by society, but there were still plenty of people within society who saw value in what he was doing, and then they carried on the information. But there could very well be people who they were just so far out there that nobody could even understand what they were trying to say, and there probably wasn't even language around that could explain what they were talking about to any real good degree, and it's probably lost to history, lost to time.
Wow. What a conversation we were having tonight.
Yeah, it's fun. We've been busy. You're getting the new job. I've been working a lot. I'm working like probably overtime this week because I put in my 2 weeks notice at my second job.
Mhm.
So like for the next couple weeks, I'm still working like that amount of hours there, but then like my schedule at the other job, like the amount of hours I plan to work normally. So it's been hard to keep touch with a lot of people as much as I used to. It's pretty easy to have a bunch of spiritual friends you talk to all the time when you don't really do much. But you have to do shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It makes it harder.
yeah, yeah,
Especially when a bunch of people are in different time zones and stuff, and it makes it hard.
yeah, yeah. I can talk about this all day because yeah, I love it and it fascinates me, and I've been thinking about this for so long. I'm sure many people have, but you know, I love going deep, and I'm open to like really anything to talk about. Um, it's just so interesting. The human brain is so interesting.
Yeah.
And like in a way, it makes me want to be more of a person, like to find out like what else is their experience, right?
Well, there's a lot.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. There's a lot that I know you haven't touched yet. That's pretty awesome stuff. And there's way more stuff beyond what I've touched.
Yeah.
So you're in a playground for this incarnation. Make the time worth it.
I mean, I guess I had to find a way to like understand myself and this reality to some extent, or like I have like a base for it, right? Like I feel
Yeah,
like
you have a foundation if you want to go having the most amazing experiences possible.
I feel like most of society is like caught up, right, in like the rat race, right?
For sure.
And there's so much more to it, and so many people are on that wheel, and time goes by, and they're like, "What the fuck have I been doing?"
Yeah. It takes a pretty high level of consciousness to actually exit the rat race, you know?
Well, I haven't exited the rat race. I wish I can.
I'm not talking about like leaving like society or a normal job. I'm like your day-to-day reality. I'm saying like you could have all of that stuff and exit the rat race like for like an hour a day or like 3 hours a day. At a certain level of consciousness, all of it disappears. You even disappear. It's all gone. And then you're really out.
What
So
what
might
what are
be
you alluding to?
retired and wealthy and living off the grid, and they're more in the rat race than you are. Even if you work a full-time job, if you get to this level of consciousness, you're out of it. You're out of the game entirely for a certain period of time.
But I'm still in the game.
I mean, right now. But I'm just saying, like, you can get out of it. You
I
know,
want to get out of it. I don't want to be in the game anymore. That's I don't want to be in the game. I want to transcend the game in a way, right? And or this is not the game I want to play.
that's probably a better way of putting it. Yeah, you just want to play a different game or play the game a different way.
Yeah.
And it's good to realize that. So what are you doing to get there then, if you really want
Well,
it?
I mean, my quote unquote spiritual like journey has been going on for like I want to say I don't know 6-7 years max,
Mhm.
right? And uh yeah, so I mean, I've done a lot of work on my own research, but you know, like we said, there's so much more to, in a way, experience or know. Well, like the friend I've been talking to in Canada, though, he's been telling me like you're already out, like you're already out of the mind, you're already out of illusion, like you have everything already, like pretending to me like I'm not like trying to like brag or anything, but he's like compared to a lot of people, right? Like for the level of consciousness, like stop seeking, stop seeking. Like, he's literally saying like just stop seeking. You don't need to seek anymore. Just just enjoy life, right? Just enjoy life. But I'm like, yes, okay, I get it. Like, I want to enjoy life. Don't get me wrong. I want to still get rich, right? Like, I'm not delusion. I'm not like delusional. Like, I want to just stay poor and stuff. But like, yeah, I still got to play the game. You know what I mean? To get out of the game, right?
Yeah,
That's why a lot of people just play the game. So really, they can get out of the game. No one really wants to stay in the game forever. Right?
yeah. But the problem with what he's saying is it can certainly reduce suffering and craving and anxiety even and a lot of other things you don't necessarily want if you look at things from the perspective of I already have the answer. I don't need to seek anymore. I've got it. I'm good. But what that also does is it limits your potential to experience what you really can. It it will instill complacency in you if you hold that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing necessarily wrong with it. It's just the question of how do you want to live this life?
Right.
Do you want to, while you're alive, experience the most amazing things you possibly can? That non seeking bullshit is not going to get you there very reliably. Maybe it gets some people there, it doesn't get many people there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure of that. It is the oh, I don't have to seek anymore. The answer is already here. I'm already enlightened. That is, and maybe I'm not even talking. I mean, simply put, I'm not even talking about spirituality or enlightenment or anything here. All I'm talking about is experience that is subjectively interpreted as uh, the most amazing stuff you can get. If that's what you want, the not seeking attitude will probably not serve you very well to get there because you do have to do some work and practice if you want that to be your reality, if you want that to be your experience.
Yeah.
Is the really jaw dropping amazing stuff. But at the same time, there's plenty of tools to do that these days. You know, so it's a pretty attainable goal to have jaw dropping experiences that just blow you away. I mean, when was the last time you had one of those experiences?
Yeah, I actually haven't had experience like that in a long time.
What did you do the last time that happened, or what triggered that?
It's been so long, I don't even really remember. I've been pretty like Well, I mean, I guess for a while I tried to be like desireless, or like it was like inherent, or like second nature, right? Like
Yeah.
because I felt like really like, grounded in a way. So
Uh,
so I didn't need to. I found a lot of joy in like simple things.
and that's good. And that's fine. But and a lot of people want that, you know. So if that's what you want, then that's great, you know.
But I do want to, it would be nice to experience great, like just for like a small example, but like a lot of people love eating food, like amazing food, right? I think that's like a very uh, 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 consistent and attainable way to have jaw-dropping experiences. All right. Well, of course, like there's so many more. I know.
I wouldn't call food a jaw-dropping experience,
I
but
think. I think.
plenty of people would, and to them it is a jaw-dropping experience. So you got to realize all of this stuff when we talk about experience, it's just relating the experience to other stuff that the person knows and has experienced. So to the right person, it can be an amazing, jaw-dropping, life-changing experience to eat a certain food.
Yeah.
But to people who have a deeper type of hunger, there's
Yeah.
more to be had.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways, if we're talking about experience and like reaching the potential for like profundity and awe-inspiring moments, I think one of the things that leads to that the most is not a lack of desire, but actually really, really intense, almost insatiable desire. And I think in the case of enlightenment, most people who, like a lot of people would agree to be enlightened, had that at some point in time. And it wasn't until they found a way to satisfy that really deep and just uh, all consuming desire. It wasn't until they found something that made them satisfied, even with that level of desire. Once they get that, then they can, some in a lot of cases, be really, really desireless. They can really be at peace with so many things and not have to crave for anything outside of the normal, ordinary stuff because they got something that was so deeply satisfying that it transforms the way that they relate to experience, to the world, to life.
Well said. I completely agree with that. Like enlightenment can be this amazing thing, but I think a lot of people will also be disappointed by can be disappointed by it. Enlightenment.
They can be disappointed by things they think are enlightenment,
Right. Exactly.
but probably aren't.
Yeah.
If it's enlightenment, you're not dissatisfied with it.
Hmm. That's
So what I call enlightenment. Enlightenment is just a word and it means something different to every single person
it does. It really does. Yeah.
who does this work to any level of depth.
Yeah.
It's going to mean at least slightly different. And a slight difference in something is as profound as enlightenment or the deepest spiritual awakenings. A small difference in that is a completely different thing because there's so much power to it.
Yeah. I think also like for a lot of people who seek out enlightenment or some sort of enlightenment, like they had a lot of pain and suffering. So once they like transcended that or had a shift from that pain and suffering, like it's like day and night for them.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because they was living in the dark for so long.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that is most reliable, that leads people to do the type of work it takes to really transform experience in a profound way and in a lasting way. um, a lot of people who get there got there because the conditions that they were in before were so insufferable and so horrible to them that they couldn't stand it anymore, and they'd do anything it took to get somewhere else, to get to some different way of experiencing things. It's kind of like a rocket. To get a rocket out of the Earth's gravitational pull, it takes a lot. But once it's out of that, it can just coast faster than it was going ever before, forever. Almost. It's like, to get there in a lot of cases could be like so much needed to break through, and then once it's there, it's like it does itself. It keeps on transforming, it keeps on growing.
It's like a seed, I guess, that like sprouts from the ground into like a huge, giant like, oak tree.
Mm-hmm. And most people are stuck being seeds their entire lives. And then a lot of people are going around telling those people stuck as seeds, don't worry, you're already an oak tree.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you are an oak tree in a sense, but you sure as hell aren't an oak tree in another sense. And that's a pretty good example of like talking about this you're already enlightened concept. Like, there is a lot of value to those teachings and that perspective for certain things, but there's also a lot of things that it can hinder and hold back if it's taken too seriously.
Yeah. What a great game to play.
Oh, it's an amazing game. You're still in the tutorial zone, man. I'm I'm trying to send you a loot crate so you can gear up and get out of there.
I mean, I need
It,
resources, I guess.
it's like you got. It's like you're like the highest level guy in the tutorial zone, and you think it's. But it's like there's so much more to go, man. But at the same time, it's the same game you'll be playing no matter where you go in it, no matter what level you're at or what kind of gear you have or what awards you're given. You're still playing the same game. It's just to what level are you playing the game?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I feel like it might be time for you to try psychedelics sometimes.
Yeah, I haven't done psychedelics in a long time though. But
Probably
like
just
my
like a low dose or something.
I tried Lodos.
Didn't do
I think
it for you?
it was not good. But but then I didn't really do it in like recreational settings, so like that wasn't that good.
You did
And
it in recreational or
I
did?
didn't. I didn't. I didn't.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, I mean, it's probably best not to use them recreationally. But I mean, you still can. It's not a horrible thing. But I'd say they're best used in other ways. The only reason I said low dose was just, you know, so hopefully it didn't like throw off your stability too much. because there is a certain level of unpredictability when you take a psychedelic.
Oh yeah, huge.
And I said that kind of mainly because, like, I know you're working to get a good job and stuff, and you want to make sure that goes well.
Yeah.
And I feel like part of the reason you don't want to meditate is because it's not like really changing things for you yet. I was the same way. I would meditate, but a lot of the time it felt like, I mean, it might get me in a nice state for a while, but it didn't feel like it was like shattering me into like some new
Right.
thing.
Right.
And I don't know, I feel like psychedelics are good for kind of opening that door more to where meditation actually works.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I only really started meditating after started using psychedelics.
Yeah.
I took like a speech class before, in my like first or second year of college, and there was a girl talking about meditation. She used to do a lot, and I was like, I was just thinking to myself, like, I don't think I really get into meditation like that. And then like just here I am later on, like I do recommend people to do meditation, and I do my own research about meditation and stuff.
Yeah. It's funny how many things that like end up being good for you or you find value in them, but like before you reach a certain point, like you don't really give a shit about it at all.
I think it gives
Like,
you.
and then like one day the right kind of conditions line up in your life or your outlook on things, and you try it and it changes.
I think it because it gave me psychedelics gave me some sort of clarity in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
so that allowed me to be more present and more grounded of a person.
Yeah.
And and then meditation makes more sense because how like a lot of people don't meditate or have a hard time meditating is because they can't sit still for either a short or a long period of time.
Yeah.
And that's what psychedelics force people to do, in my opinion, like from my own experience.
Yeah, they can. Sometimes they force you to go do shit.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're talking about weed, then
No, I'm talking about like mushrooms not really too much, but for me, especially like LSD, um, when I took psychedelics, I would always want to like do it in my house, like alone, and take it seriously and everything. And when I would take LSD, it's like all that went out the window, and I'd be like, it's time to like go on an adventure.
yeah, yeah.
Like the whole plan was just gone and replaced by like whatever the moment was like leading me to do.
So you find so much beauty in the moment or whatever that's around you.
Yeah, it's like LSD made me want to be more active. Mushrooms made me want to
Be introspective.
do that like secluded approach and just stay in one spot for like 6 hours and just experience all the stuff going on.
Yeah, I haven't done much shrooms, but I don't. From my experience, I don't like shrooms because big reason because of that too.
Because it like keeps you
Yeah,
in
it
one place or whatever.
yeah, it like hijacks your whole body and brain. Where there's people say like, oh, mushrooms, you're in the back seat, and LSD, you're in the front seat. or driver's seat.
Is an Al Qaeda terrorist a hijacker if you invite him on the plane to do his job? So are mushrooms hijacking it if you give them permission and that's what you want? But I get the sense, like, you don't, that's not what you're looking for necessarily.
Right. Yeah.
You still want to, like, I guess it sounds like have some agency to it, you know.
I mean, it's the same as going smoking weed. I think, like, if I smoke weed, I don't like to sit on a couch like fucking the whole time and just be paralyzed there. You know, I want to be active, and and I want to be watching stuff and be interested in what I'm watching and have profound insights or thoughts about whatever I'm looking at or experiencing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I should come up to New York sometime. How does that sound?
Yeah. I mean,
I mean, it's pretty doable someday. I think it could be fun.
how's your real estate thing going?
It's fine. I got one tenant. I mean, there's always like one little thing going wrong. It's kind of, well, most of the time. There might be like one small little thing going wrong that you got to fix, and then it'll be good for a second, and then just one more like small thing. But like right now, I have a tenant who they asked me if they could like pay like half of their rent at the beginning of the month, and then they'd pay like the other half on like the 18th. And I texted them yesterday because they still hadn't paid it as far as what my bank showed. And then I called them today and I haven't received a response. But I don't know, this person's been a tenant for like 2 or 3 years or maybe longer. And I mean, they've always paid, so I mean, it'll probably be fine. But it's just like everything else is going pretty good with it. Although I don't know what my business partner and I were thinking, but we bought a property at an auction that just did not make any sense to buy. It was like only like $5,000, so it's not a big deal.
Oh, that's
And
cheap.
and he's got his real estate license, so I mean, we can just sell it through him for like nothing, no cost to us really, and probably still make some money off of it, like a few $1,000s or whatever.
Dude, that's
But
dirt cheap.
yeah, it is dirt. It is dirt cheap. It was dirt though.
Mhm.
Previously, we bought dirt cheap stuff that was like soil, not dirt. But this was dirt, just straight up dirt. I don't know why we bought it. Well, I know why we bought it. It's because at these auctions, like, we'd list off like 50 places that looked like decent enough to buy. And this was probably like one of the worst ones that we said like could work. And it probably was like close to the end of the auction and we hadn't bought enough properties yet. So it was like, okay, we got to buy something. So let's buy this. And then it ended up, it just wasn't worth it. It's not worth it because if you put money into a place that's not going to be good long term, then it's going to be a hassle to get good tenants. And, you know, maybe the neighborhood isn't good enough to really warrant you spending much money there, then it's better just to sell it and move on and just do it again.
It just becomes a liability.
Yeah, that property would be more of a liability to us, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing is like the way that it's running now, the business, like I don't know, you can afford to make mistakes like that because they really don't cost much. I mean, we'll still probably make money off of it. It's just, could we have made more money off of something else? Yeah, but
You live and you learn, I guess.
yeah.
I hate that life is all about numbers or stacking numbers. I hate it. I fucking hate it.
And you're going to be a financial advisor. What the fuck are you thinking, buddy?
Well, yeah. I mean,
He says,
I
I
hate it,
hate that life
but
is all stacking numbers. I hate it.
but that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm just trying
Now
to
you're
learn
going
the
to
game,
stack
or
some numbers for people.
like I'm trying to learn the game and get better at the game, at this game,
Mm-hmm.
because I hate it so much that I need to like learn how to get out of it.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to get out of the game in like the traditional sense is to play it for a little bit in a good way, and then you can afford to get out.
Yeah, because then this like financial like advisor thing is, I'm learning how to like people to save up for retirement and their 401ks and their life insurance, like really long term stuff. So like I think everybody is gonna eventually need to learn most of that, if not all of it.
Yeah, or suffer the consequences of not learning it.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, at the very least, it's probably going to teach you some good things for yourself.
I've already learned like some good things about finance from these meetings and connecting with these people. And there's a convention coming up in like 3 months in like Atlanta, which these people want me to attend. I haven't really made up my mind yet, but like yeah, that's definitely something in the back of my head.
I mean, it might be nice. I mean, as far as I know, you haven't gotten out of New York much for a while, and probably with the pandemic and everything, you've probably been pretty stationary a lot of the
Which
time.
is fine. Like I'm not trying to, catch no COVID or Omicron
Yeah,
or
but
whatever
I
else.
mean, it might be nice to go somewhere new and just, if it's for a work thing, that's a pretty good excuse to go to a new city and maybe do a few fun things while you're there.
Yeah, I just wish it was like funded. Not
Yeah, it's out of pocket.
yeah.
Mm.
I'm not like exactly in the
That's
best
less
picture.
enticing, because
Yeah,
then
that's
you
way
could just go to a vacation somewhere you actually want to go, not Atlanta.
yeah.
I don't know too many people who say, for vacation this year, I really want to go to Atlanta.
Yeah, but I guess I mean I could think of it. I see. I don't know the prices and everything yet, but like I guess I can think of it as an investment. Obviously, that's like one way. So like that I can justify going, right? Because this guy that I'm talking to, he lives in Tennessee and he's gonna go there as well. And he was like, I have a lot of friends or I have networked that like people are millionaires.
Yeah,
So
that might not be a bad opportunity to take advantage of then.
so yeah.
Because I mean, you probably know as well as I do, a lot of this game is just about who you know. You
Yeah.
meet the right people, it can change everything.
Yeah, you just need to know. You just need to meet the right one person. Obviously, it's great to meet like multiple right people, but like you just need to meet one right person to change your life for the good, for the better, and for the worst, of course, too. But
Yeah.
there's not a lot of people I would like to meet in life that I know. Like, I mean, there are people in my head, but like I would like to meet, like people are into spiritual stuff. If I was to pick people that I want to meet, that's
Yeah, I'd probably be the same. I'd probably want to meet Frank Yang, like number one, I think.
yeah. I would love to meet him too. He's definitely quite the personality. He's like humans are actually so fucking smart. Like insanely smart and talented human. If we were comparing it to the species in the world, I guess.
And people outside of spirituality, I'd probably say Elon Musk.
Yeah, but I think like, yeah, I would love to meet him too. But I think like if we meet him, it's probably gonna be like a high and by thing, right? Or like, can I feel?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like a quality meeting. Because
Yeah,
I don't
I
really
want a
give.
quality meeting with someone. I don't want to like just like, oh,
Yeah,
hey.
I don't really give much of a shit of like high and by to these people.
No, yeah. But like, I feel like people in the spiritual meeting, I think they'll be more uh open to having like a deep, open conversation
Yeah.
or heart to heart conversation. Because that's who they are and what they do in a way too.
Yeah.
Just like what we're doing.
You got to meet me.
I got to meet someone like you.
I got to meet you. We went.
No, it's been a pleasure to meet someone like you and to be able to talk about this stuff with someone like this.
Yeah, same goes to you, man.
Really, you really don't get to meet many people. Like if I'm like I've been going to church a lot, but like I don't think I can have conversations like this with Christians.
Not a very good chance. Maybe a few, I don't know, but not very often.
People out there like that, but like,
But the thing is, you got to click with people, you know? Like, there might even be someone who knows, like, stuff you want to talk about, but if your personalities don't line up very well, I mean, it might not be that good.
true. There's so much people in the world, actually. Not that the internet is so open.
Intertwined into everything we do, practically.
Yeah.
Even to go hiking, you're probably going to look up online shit before you go do it.
That's funny because that's like a few people from my church asked me to go hiking, and we're gonna go hiking in a few weeks.
Nice. I like hiking. I climbed one of the Rocky Mountains once when I was in Boy Scouts. That was a fun hiking trip. My feet were destroyed at the end of it, though. We hiked like 60 miles in like 10 days or something.
What?
Yeah. In mountains, and probably I don't know, maybe changed like 5,000 feet in elevation over the course of that.
How long
Maybe
were you in
more.
Boy Scouts for?
I don't know. I mean, Boy Scouts probably like 4 or 5 years or something. I never really like put the work in to get all the merit badges and like rank up and shit. I just like went on the fun trips and like that was about it. And I kind of don't regret that at all.
And I guess that's some like you probably got some like good discipline from it.
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot of useful stuff. Sewing, how to start a fire, how to build a shelter in the wilderness. Um, how to sail a boat, which I probably couldn't do today, but I did it at one point. Definitely learned how to canoe and kayak there.
You see, like there's so many things in this world to like take interest in and take mastery. And it's like, what are the chances of us like meeting and like just have have like same interests. I mean, I guess we found each other from like the Skype, that Murado Skype, so there was like a common like ground thing, but like still,
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to meet anyone you actually have stuff in common with and can talk a lot. Like the chances, that you meet that specific person.
I'm watching a League of Legends podcast with Double Lip on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, we really like League of Legends too, right?
Yeah.
Like that's really like there's two sides of a coin that we talk about. It's either League of Legends or spirituality.
Yeah. Or Tom Brady.
Or Tom Brady. Yeah, that's like a small. He's coming back. He's coming back to play
Seriously?
Yeah.
Next year? Or
Yeah.
next season?
Yeah.
Dude, he needs to come to the Colts. That's all I'm saying.
What do you mean? He's staying. He's gonna stay at Tampa Bay.
Oh, he needs to change his mind on that.
Yeah, from what when I saw, I think he's staying at Tampa Bay.
My dad was talking about it like he could go to another franchise.
Yeah, I don't know how his contract is. What his contract is. Let's see. Yeah, he said he's returning to Buccaneers.
Dude, like within like a day or two of like me finding out he was retiring, I probably watched like 10 hours of like Tom Brady documentaries and stuff. It was a lot of fun. I watched like there was like this, I didn't watch all of it, but there was, or maybe I did, but there was like this multi-part series where like each video was at least like 1 or 2 hours long, where it was like the season where he won the Super Bowl with the Bucks, and it was showing like all the like sports anchors or whatever you want to call, or analysts, like talking shit and stuff and going back and forth, and then like it would show the game and then like what they were saying after it. It was like, it was kind of crazy how much effort the person must have put in to like make that, to go find all those clips and put it all together. But it was funny. This one analyst was like always saying Tom Brady was, he had fallen off a cliff and like he was done. And he was saying it for like years. And then like that season with the Bucks, he was saying it like all the time. He was like, and then he started saying, well, at first I thought it was a cliff, but it's more like a ravine. See, I wasn't close enough to see it, but he's definitely going down, but it's not quite as much as I thought. And then he ends up winning the Super Bowl that year. It was fucking hilarious how that video was put together.
I mean, there's definitely people gonna be out there, but it's so funny like how like he took all that time to like make that and to really put so much energy into that when it wasn't even true.
Yeah, but the guy who made the video was saying, he was showing like this analyst as like part of the story of like all the people who were talking shit about Tom Brady, doubting him, and then like showing like, and then like he wins the Super Bowl. They have like all these crazy wins and stuff when like almost nobody thought that they could do it out of like the analysts and stuff. There was like one who like really believed like from the beginning. He's like, nope, they're going to the Super Bowl, they're winning it.
When we was talking about like how there's like if you want a certain feeling, right, in life, a certain jaw dropping feeling in life, then you gotta go pursue it and seek that feeling, right?
Hmm.
When you talking about, I actually was thinking about like League of Legends, right? Like players of League of Legends, because we both like League of Legends. Like they spend all this time to like reach the finals and then try to make worlds and this whole tournament kind of thing. Like they spent like years, decade to get this certain type of feeling, and I guess like relating to like traditional sports as well. There's people who spent decades, right, to get this certain feeling, this certain, I guess, jaw-dropping feeling for them, right? But what I guess compared to like whatever you're talking about, it's only like at such a low level.
Yeah, it is
But
for
then,
sure.
but then these people
But
have,
it's still cool. I'd still love to have the experience of being the quarterback who wins 7 Super Bowls. That's not a bad thing by any means. But yeah, is there better stuff? Definitely. But
I guess what I'm trying to say, there's not enough time and energy to like
you
pursue.
can't do everything.
Yeah, you can't do everything, right?
You gotta gotta look at it and say, what do I really care about? What do I really want my life to be like?
And we see Tom Brady like getting all this thing, but like he's just like the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the 1%, and like you don't see all like we see,
All the people who worked so hard for so long and didn't get shit. All they got was disappointment in the end.
that was the feeling they got. That was their jaw dropping feeling, disappointment.
Yep. Well, how long do you want to keep talking, man?
I wasn't expecting to keep talking. Like it's so crazy. We've almost talked for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It feels like we've been talking for like 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's always this easy.
And we literally just kept talking, like literally just kept talking. New topics. It was smooth transitions. Like wasn't like any hiccups or whatnot. Just, and I bet like if we wanted to, we didn't even have to try. Probably could talk for another 2 hours, 3 hours.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, but I was looking at the time too. I mean, well, when do you want to go?
I don't know. I'm good to talk a little bit longer, or we can end it now. It's
I guess we can end the recording now, and then like
Yeah. Let's end the recording on a good note before
good.
we just start before it starts spiraling down.
Before we start talking about another topic for another hour, and we don't go to sleep.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop it right now. Okay.
Sounds good.
So if we do upload this, thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys got insights from it. Uh, yeah, feel
And
free.
if you want to support the channel, donate to Tom Brady.
Yes, and don't forget to subscribe and like the channel.
See, that was my joke of like not telling people to subscribe, but now you did it anyway.
Well,
Oh well,
we
all
could,
bases covered.
yeah. Okay.